Okay, my first negative comment and how I feel about that. Somebody over the hill, uh, e- exorbitantly overweight, but stating those facts doesn't mean that her opinion is any less valid. It just simply means that people want to know what I view as sexually explicit and what I don't view as sexually explicit. The thing is that we are one nation under God. That God is not specific. It hasn't been specified in writing in the Constitution of this United States of America. So those of us who believe sexuality is spirituality when it comes from a place of consent don't understand how sexuality wouldn't be spiritual. And I felt this since I was 12 or 11. This is predating any topics from anyone on the subject that I had ever heard. Now, somebody having a shirtless photo is not sexually explicit unless you make it that way in your mind. Somebody discussing sexuality isn't sexually explicit unless they're talking in graphic detail. They're not glazing over the subject or not just using it. Um, you can explain sexuality without being sexually explicit. Like, explicit is almost like in excess of. You're not just using the word, you're not just discussing a subject, but you're talking about stuff that would be considered um, stuff that from a Christian, um, not a Christian perspective, not somebody who believes in just the literal words of Christ, but somebody who falls into the general category of believing that, um, well, I mean, for crying out loud, Genesis is sexually explicit. After all, they're running around naked, and they gotta sew fig leaves together or whatever to hide their nakedness, and then God's hanging out with them in the Garden of Eden, walking around. Now, this is all, of course, a creation myth, but nevertheless, it's been retold in different ways throughout time, and people who read the Bible at all or read the Songs of Solomon, it's pretty sexually explicit. So, if anything, my version of what I consider talking a little bit about the subject, and because spirituality are interchangeable to consensual sexual activity between two adults. I mean, we do follow laws, but I mean, if you're looking from a global perspective and throughout all time periods, there's been varying laws depending on the culture you were raised in on that subject. But that's for somebody else to talk about and discuss, where it's not my realm of expertise. Um, what is my realm of expertise is not rambling too long and kind of getting to the point. Um, at least I hope it will be soon. Now, TBAT, the truth behind all truths, the truth below all truths, the truth beyond all truths, the truth behind all truths. All these are B acronyms, but mine is the truth behind all truths. And what that means is that, for example, if you have a organization who's out to get you, and at times I've felt that the Mormon Church has been out to get me, that they were out to get me simply from the standpoint that I didn't believe what they believed. I mean, for real, though. I mean, that's how they thought, and after they destroyed the printing press, you would understand why everybody got furious. Does that justify murdering Joseph Smith? No. But was Joseph Smith the head of calling to have the printing press destroyed, basically destroying free speech? Yes. Um, and because of that, there were natural consequences for the people in that area who didn't want that. But the truth is those natural consequences were not lawful, and so whether or not they felt it was justified, it was still wrong, as far as the law is concerned. People attacking me because of my faith because of what I have created, it's almost like an attack on me because it comes from my heart. So people need to be careful not to attack other people's beliefs because it's near to their hearts. Now, if they've just adopted something that was given to them as a child or something they were converted to, and or if it's because of societal pressure that they feel that they need to attend a specific religious organization, that's not for me to judge. I'm just throwing that out there for people to do what they will with it. Why do I feel it's okay to discuss my religion with you? Because although pagans do not proselytize, my point isn't to convert any of you. It's to open your eyes to the fact that there are other people than just the people that live inside Utah and follow one particular set of beliefs. There are many types of people, and that you are entitled to make up your own religion. I mean, if you're part of a religion or you're part of a belief system of any kind, chances are if you're a part of a religion and you don't follow everything to the T, you are in fact making a version of that religion that better suits what you're willing to do. Now, because of that, people could say, well, they could say, oh, well, I'm still part of this religion. It's like, well, if you think you're Mormon or you think you're a Latter-day Saint, are you following everything and in every article of faith perfectly? Are you... And it's not about striving, it's about what you're actually doing. Everyone strives to do things, but few people can actually do what they've signed up to do within a religious belief system. The nice thing about creating your own religion is you call the shots. Of course, you have divine guidance, but if you believe you're divine, your guidance is innately divine. I believe myself to be divine. I know that when I say these words, I am divine. So whether or not I'm in a form of the flesh which is corruptible, which is eventually I can be troubled with the ailments of the flesh that I'm in. And of course, other things like stress of people attacking me and, without warrant, can cause somebody's health to not be as good. But that doesn't mean they're going to stop being true to themselves or being open. Because it's almost like if people would just come from a place of love, regardless of what they believe, if they would start looking at each other as human beings rather than looking at each other as anything else, as in different categories. A lot of times people will just be like, oh, well, I'm not listening to their opinion because they are an atheist. Or I'm not listening to their their opinion because they're not an atheist, because they aren't rooted in hard science. And another person will say, I'm not listening to them because they don't believe in God, because I've had experiences with deity. And the other person is saying, I've never had any experiences with deity, and even if I did, that doesn't replace science. So you've got all these people with their differing beliefs. The only problems you have is when people are trying to convince each other. So again, I say I'm not trying to convince you. I'm only trying to let you know what I feel inside. And what I feel inside is that that from an early age was that the human sexuality, those testosterones and those testosterone, estrogen, the different things that make us who we are, those chemicals that create changes within our body, those things are holy. They are innate. They are God-given. And as they are God-given, those things can, in fact, and more of this is explained on my YouTube channel. Feel free to check it out. That's the proper place to comment on anything you believe. And with all this mindless rambling, because I felt a little flustered, or mindful rambling, rather, what do I believe? Well, how does it get down to that? Okay, in this third and final video, I will actually tell you what I believe.